Hi everybody, it's wonderful to see you again. I'm so excited for today's story and springboard writing activity. Today's story is one of my favorites. I have so many favorites because I say that a lot, but it is one of my favorites. And it is a spin-off or a different version of a fairy tale. So many of you have heard lots and lots of fairy tales. Disney makes movies about fairy tales, and you've probably heard fairy tales like the Three Little Pigs and Goldilocks and the Three Bears and Little Red Riding Hood since you were young. But this story is called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs, and it's told by the perspective or by the character A. Wolf and his perspective or kind of opinion about how things really went, according to him. The True Story. This is the 25th anniversary. It's a special book. Where does it take place? The big house. When? For life. The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I am the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies, sheep, and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. I love the font that the illustrator used. The O is the snout of a pig, the nose. Way back in Once Upon a Time land, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny, and I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? So of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house. So I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch and I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed a great sneeze. Oh my. And you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down, and right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. Well, it seemed a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger, just laying there. I was feeling a little bit better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. There's his house, made out of sticks. I rang the doorbell on the sticks house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And he yelled back, Go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down, just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and the second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family because he built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little porker answered? Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again. Not very polite. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest of the story, they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? And there he is in jail, still looking for that cup of sugar. So that's kind of a funny story, the true story of the three little pigs. Well, what it is, though, is it's the same story, pretty much. The same things happen to the pigs, but it's told from a different perspective. This is from a different character's point of view. So our writing springboard, our writing prompt today, is for you to think of a fairy tale that you know. And I've written a couple of them down. But if you think of a fairy tale you know, such as maybe Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, Hansel and Gretel, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or Jack and the Beanstalk, maybe reread one of the original stories or talk about it with your family members. And then think about how would that story be different if it was told from a different character and a different perspective. So maybe with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, you might tell that same story, but from the perspective of the witch. Or maybe with Cinderella, you might tell the whole story from the perspective of the stepmother or the stepsisters. Maybe with Hansel and Gretel, it could be the woman who lived in the house. Snow White, it could be the witch. And Jack and the Beanstalk, I wonder what that story would be like if you told it from the giant's point of view. So I challenge you this week to think of a fairy tale story that you know and to rewrite it from the perspective of one of the other characters. Have a great time doing that. And I look forward to reading some of your stories or hearing about them. And until next time, I hope you have a great day full of fun, learning, reading, and writing. Have a great day, everybody.